Your ex left you. But more importantly, they left you for someone else. And I know the burn and the sting that is, right? Because it's one thing for someone to walk away from you, but it's a whole nother thing for them to trade you off for a whole new person. It instantly puts you in a certain headspace. You start thinking, how could they possibly walk away from me and just leave me behind like I was nothing for this whole new person, right? And then naturally, you start asking yourself the typical questions anyone would ask themselves in those moments, right? At least it's a first thought. You start questioning, was I not enough? What's this other person have that I don't? Or why wasn't I worth fighting for, right? And if you're asking yourself all those questions, which makes sense, right? And you're asking, how could this have happened? You're asking the wrong one or the wrong questions. See, the question that's right under your nose, right, that you haven't been thinking of, because understandably so, you're trying to process and piece together how in the world this is a reality right now. You probably can't even believe it. Is, if this was my person, how could they just drop me and move on for someone else? That's the question you need to ask yourself and really try to answer it. Because if you do, there's actually only one conclusion you come to that makes any real sense, right? If we're thinking through this from a logical and healthy standpoint. Because look, many people can do many things from a toxic, unhealthy space. And I've made videos about this in the past. If someone is doing something that's extremely unhealthy or toxic or they're operating in toxic ways, you trying to make sense of what they've done from a healthy frame of mind, a healthy logic applied to an unhealthy way of thinking will never make sense to you, right? But if we could think of this in the general logical sense and they're relatively healthy and they've done this, then there's only one answer to that question, which is you can't lose someone, right? No one can take someone from you that was yours, right? If someone can take your partner away from you that easily, right? They took your ex, then they were never truly yours to begin with. That's the piece. And what does that really mean, right? Because in all reality, I hate it when people try to, treat their partners like property, which is actually a lot of times what we do as people, because we are tribal by nature and we like to bond and we want to really stay close to who we pair bond with. So we take this kind of like ownership of them as if they're like this prized possession that we do own, right? When in reality, we never own our partners, but we operate that way, right? We treat it like we own them and we have some, sort of dictatorship over them, even if that's not the way you, overtly operate. Whenever someone takes a shot at them, right? Or, maybe they make a pass at them while you're out in public, or they try to flirt with them, right? Sometimes you'll step in, you'll start, hey, this is mine. You get really possessive. So it's not literally that they weren't yours, like a possession. What it really means is when someone is yours, they have truly and fully committed to you. And so the only way you can lose someone, lose your partner, your ex, to some whole new person, just like that, is if they were never truly and fully committed to you in the first place. So you haven't really lost your person at all. You lost someone who was temporarily filling those shoes. And it's so important for you to hear and recognize this, because we run off down the rabbit hole of questioning our worth, questioning our value, being flabbergasted and dumbfounded by this new events, and you can't believe it, and all these things of your ex leaving. And the first thing we start to really do to ourselves is look back at us and say, well, where am I missing it, right? What do I need to improve? Like, what could I have done better? Was I that bad? And we start taking all of our ex's decision on our shoulders, right? Or maybe we start placing a whole bunch of blame and anger towards our ex. How could you do this to me, right? I was so good to you. I was so special to you. We were locked in. You were my forever person. You were supposed to be the one to make it to the altar with me, or to grow old together and all the things. And if you hear it as I'm saying it, The only reason why we get so anchored into that pain on that deep of a level. Now, don't be wrong. If you care for someone and have feelings for them and they go ahead and just, they leave you and they reject you in that way, it never feels good. Yes, you're going to go through, a painful experience. You're going to go through a grieving because you have lost something, but you haven't lost what you thought you lost, right? But yes, you're going through the separation of something. Something's being removed from your life that's you've become accustomed to, that's been valuable to you. Absolutely. But it only deepens down the rabbit hole and turns into overthinking and turns into, just anger and fury, to where you're depressed and you're just sad for all this time. And you're sitting there just running on loop in your mind about the story about, how the relationship was and all the good times. And then, them walking away and how bad they are, whenever you believe in your heart that they were yours, that they were the person that was supposed to go to that finish line with you. But they can't be that if their actions show they can move on so easily with someone new. Now, I've made a ton of videos now at this point on why rebound relationships don't work and all that stuff. And they're bound to go and repeat that cycle with this new person, most likely, because if you're really invested into someone, you don't walk away and overnight you're in a whole new situation with someone else, right? Just not the way solid principles and morals work towards truly committed relationships. Just doesn't work in that fashion. So yes, if they're unhealthy enough, yeah, I guess they could go on and try to do this and they can think that they're being successful until they're not, until the same pattern repeats itself with this next person. That's bound to come, right? But that's less of my focus. My focus is where you're at right now in your mental space and believing that you really lost something that was never yours. Because correct me if I'm wrong, if your partner was actually and truly yours and truly committed to you, would they not try to talk about their issues with you first, communicate how they're feeling, their concerns, and really trying to, extend that olive branch out to say, hey, I value you. I don't want to lose you. Here's what I'm struggling with. How do we figure this out? Because the last thing in this world I want is to lose you, right? Wouldn't they do that if that was the case? Because see, a lot of times whenever we're left for someone else, we're caught off guard so much because we didn't know it was even close to that serious, that severe. See, it's one thing if you guys have had issues for an ongoing period of time, right? And it's been no secret and it's been, hell in your home. You fight all the time and it's always just toxicity and all that. Then it's not that much of a surprise if they finally leave. Yes, it might be surprising if they finally did it for real, if they kept threatening to, or you both say, oh, I'm out of here, I'm done. And this time they meant it. Yeah, that could be a little bit of a shocker because you're used to the pattern of you guys saying this type of things, but it never following through. But it's usually only this much of a, dumbfounding moment and just really just deer in headlights whenever they're not communicating effectively or properly or putting the effort to do that before making a decision like that and taking that option. So if they were truly yours and truly committed to you and really wanted to work out with you and they were healthy enough to do so, wouldn't they already be having dialogue with you about just that? After the dialogue and the communication, would they then not try to work on things first? See, it's one thing when people talk through their issues, right? And this is where a lot of couples actually get themselves into trouble. They'll sit down, they'll have the hard conversations sometimes. They'll talk through what's going on, what's blocking us, why are we not, yoked well and all that. But when it comes to solutions and tangible action steps, that's where they drop the ball. Either they come up with a plan, they come up with a solution, and they try it for a few times and they just don't keep it going and the consistency falls apart, or they have a poor plan to begin with and they never take the action at all. So the issues continue and they wind up having these repeat conversations over and over again that never goes anywhere because they're not letting the actions follow through and consistently match the words they spoke and the things they talked about. So would they not, if they were truly your person, talk through these things with you first and then really give it all they had to put the effort in to fight for the relationship and fight for you? And vice versa. Would they not do that? So ask yourself, did your ex do that with you? If they didn't, it's another sign they weren't really your person. And the third piece I'll throw in there, after they came to you and they would discuss what their concerns were, what their issues are with you, right? And because they want to work this out. And after they gave it all they had to try to execute whatever solutions you guys talked about and tried to implement. At the last tier, if they did decide, okay, it's just not working. We talked about it. We tried to really put real effort into it, but it doesn't make sense. Then if they were ever truly your person to begin with, if they're leaving, wouldn't they leave just because the relationship's not working to remove themselves and then, go through a healing process? Because if they actually cared and loved you, then now they have to mourn and grieve the relationship like you would. So they wouldn't be able to just jump into something new. Wouldn't they leave for those reasons instead of leaving because someone else new showed up? Because someone else that was in proximity, they let catch their eye and they gave attention to, and they started investing and pouring into that person. If they were your person, right, truly yours, committed to you, would they be leaving for more honorable reasons so they can go and mend and heal and move on with their life in time? Or would they go and just leave with the first thing smoking that comes by that seems like it could be a better option? The grass is greener effect. I think you and I both know you got to ask yourself, would you do that? If you were unhappy with your partner, but you love them to pieces, you were truly committed to them, would you just walk away that freely because someone else came by that seemed like they had the 20% you were missing? I'm going to go on a limb and say no. So if your ex did that and they cha-cha slid over with this new person, it's screaming to you they were never truly committed the way you needed in the first place. And why is it so important that I keep harping on them being truly committed to you and not being yours? Because you can only build a long-lasting relationship you want, and deep in your heart, the connection you want and value is with someone that is truly committed and lives it. Your ex is showing you right now in real time they were not that person capable of doing that for and with you, at least at this time. If they truly respected you, they wouldn't leave you for someone else. They may leave, but not to just jump into someone else's lap. They wouldn't monkey branch to someone else. So what their actions are screaming to you that I hope you really hear and receive is that they lacked loyalty and depth, right? That wasn't present enough in them. They were not built for commitment, at least not on the level that you require. And they were already 1 foot out the door, right? They were halfway in, halfway out. You need someone that's all the way in. And the most important piece, if they did this to you, they are bound to do it to the next person, because this is the habitual system, the habit, the pattern they built inside of themselves for their lack of growth or lack of journey that they're not taking on in a healthier way. So it doesn't mean you weren't enough. It doesn't mean something's wrong with you. And it definitely doesn't mean this new person won, right? If anything, they're being set up for the biggest loss and learning lesson that they may have to date, right? Just coming in due time. But ultimately, it's screaming they were never your person to begin with. So stop personalizing their lack of loyalty. Let them go without questioning your worth and focus on finding someone who values commitment the same way you do, because the right person can't be taken. So if you're going through that right now, I want you to comment below and give me a quick little blurb about what your situation was and the one action step you're going to take to truly let go of your ex and put them behind you where they belong and reclaim your power to move on. And please, if you've already gone through something like this and you're watching this video because you're like, yes, I was there and I had to get through there myself, then please help someone else. And you comment as well. Tell a little bit about your story and what you actually did to put your ex behind you to move on. Because people need to hear that there's others out there that can do it and have done it. It'll help so much. But if you're in that space now of trying to get through it and try to get over it, and you need help because there's a hard time. I know it's not easy to go through. You need help getting to the other side. Then email or DM me the word coaching and we will get to work as long as you're truly ready to put that work in. If you're not ready for one-on-one coaching, don't have the time, space, or maybe resources, then at least email or DM me the word revival to join my Relationship Revival Hub community, where you can learn the same things I teach my clients one-on-one at your own pace on your own time. Either way, do something to get in the race. Let's get it.